Hi, I'm Leah Deegan, and I've been a part of Christ the King for 10 years since Joe and I got married.
2012.
2012.
My name is Joe Deegan. I've been a member at Christ the King for 13 years, and I currently work on the music team, leading worship every Sunday. So I moved from small town in Alabama in 2009 to work with the youth ministry. And when I first got to Christ the King, I was pretty intimidated, moving from a small town in Alabama to an enormous city in Houston. And what I discovered very quickly was just how God provided people and a community, and how faithful He was in just giving me a home away from home.
So Joe and I met, we went on a blind date, and we hit it off, and I started going to Christ the King with him, and when we were engaged and newly married, and just being a part of this church and moving forward and seeing God's hand in entering and welcoming me into the church.
For us, 2020 ended up being, there were a lot of good things about it. We kind of slowed down a little bit. We spent a lot of time at home with our kids, with our community group. There was a lot of life-giving things that were going on in 2020. And 2021 hit, and things got a little different. In February of 2021, we had the big ice storm, and during that week, we also had COVID, the whole family. And so we hadn't prepped at all for the storm. We were stuck here, and no power for 3 days, and we were all sick and miserable. And then by the time our power came back on, I looked in the pantry and realized we didn't have much food. All our food had spoiled in the fridge. We were really running low, and I couldn't go out and get anything because I had COVID. And it was one of the few times in my life I've really felt desperate over just basic needs. I didn't know what to do, and I knew I had to provide for the family. And out of helplessness, I picked up the phone and called a couple of people at Christ the King and just said, we need food. I don't know what to do. And within an hour, we had enough groceries in our kitchen to last us about a month. It was unreal how the Lord provided. And it also just showed us how important it is to be vulnerable, to be weak, and to be willing to admit that, because everything in me as a man wanted to say, I need to provide for my family, but I couldn't do it. And I had to admit that to people that I loved and knew very dearly. And they immediately showed up and helped. And ultimately, I think God showed us at the end of all of it that we had forgotten how good He is all day long, every day, and the little things that He provides.
I think during that time, I think about the strength that I physically did not have was there, and to see the Lord pick me up when it was not possible to keep going. I hadn't felt that really before. And besides friends reaching out and family, and then, just trying to serve Him and my family and do all the things, I couldn't do it all. So I had to depend on Christ, and I hadn't been there before in that physical need for Him in a long time. So looking back, it was a very hard time, and we know it was very hard, but we also know that it brought us to our knees every day, like Joe said, and made us grateful every day for God's faithfulness in the little things.